If you have a fantastic customer experience in your home banking, tomorrow you will place the same level of demand on your telecom operator. So the level of consumer demands tends to spread from industry to industry. It means that all industries are competing with each other to provide the best customer experience, meaning that probably you see retail as one of the first industries that fight a lot to ensure omni-channel experience, but you are also seeing that coming in telecoms, banks, insurance, tourism, because it's not an industry issue, it's a customer issue.
Hello and welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host Vineet, and today we have a CX expert with us on the show. But before I introduce you to our guest, allow me to introduce you to the magic of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code digital CX platform available across 14 channels with 45,000 solutions created across 187 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Ing.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Rui Santos is the general manager of InPower, a consultancy that specializes in customer experience management. He's an expert in omnichannel customer experience management, contact centers, retail management, customer self-service, and quality management. Rui is passionate about improving customer care services. He is always one step ahead and knows his team from top to bottom and acknowledges their value. Welcome to the show, Rui.
Hello, how are you?
Great. So before we dive into our interview with Rui, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content from thought leaders from around the globe. So getting back to our interview, Rui, what is omnichannel customer service, and do you have any tips for building an omnichannel service strategy?
Well, first of all, let me thank you for this kind invitation. And starting immediately answering your question, well, the omni-channel is a natural evolution from multi-channel to omni-channel, and it corresponds to the natural evolution of devices. As you know, from simple mobile phones to current and powerful smartphones and tablets, we nowadays live with real pocket computers. And that means that it was our customers that have become omni-channel. So the industry is now responding to a new customer demand, a new customer needs. And the big challenge is the need to integrate channels and normalize the customer experience regardless the channels they use. And a particularly useful tool is the customer journey mapping and the service design, which allows you to anticipate the customer journey through the multiple touch points that they can use. And that's something that we highly recommend if you want to build an omni-channel customer service strategy.
Okay, like I totally agree with it. The more the customers are able, the companies are able to understand the customer touch points, I think they'll be able to come up with better results.
That's true. That's true. Very important, because nowadays you never know what will be the touch point preferred by a specific customer and the journal that they'll choose. So you have to be prepared for multiple types of interactions. And if you want, you need to integrate all the information in a single platform in order to avoid the customer to have to remind you what have been the previous steps. So it's supposed your company to know exactly what has been the previous steps that the customer has taken in order for taking forward.
Correct. So Rui, so what according to you are the barriers of omnichannel experiences, and how can we conquer them as business?
Well, I believe we can find three types of barriers in our organizations, namely the organizational barriers, the cultural barriers, and also the technological barriers. Many companies are still organizing in silos, in departments which do not communicate with each other. And also many companies, people are not yet customer oriented and customer focused, especially the people that are not handled directly with the customer. Some of them, unfortunately, sometimes forget that they are working for the end customer. And also some companies have legacy technology that is still outdated in many companies and make mandatory channel integration very difficult. I would say that to overcome these barriers, it is necessary to raise people awareness through training, for instance, but also to make some technological investment in order to update your platforms.
Okay, so like, what do you feel will be more difficult, the technological barriers or the cultural barriers for a company?
I would say that technological is something that you can spend some money with it, so it's an investment issue. But regarding the changing people's minds, sometimes it's quite difficult. You have to have a very strong leadership to make the example, but sometimes it's not enough. You have to really try to understand it within your organization. What is the profile that you need, the kind of people that you need to be customer focused and proactive, and recruit accordingly. And also train them. The ones that are already there, you have to make them all aboard.
Okay, makes sense. So, are there any hidden challenges while transitioning from operating in silos and omni-channel customer service, like we were
I
mentioning?
would say that probably the biggest risk is if you have to run after the damage. What I mean by that, if you do not move very quickly, we run the risk of implementing solutions that are already delayed and outdated in view of customer needs. You should use agile project management methodologies and not the traditional water, because the time you spend between specifying what you need, have a long development plan, and then try to run up with a big bang approach, probably you will end up with something that is already outdated. So you have to move fast, you have to have fast sprints, use prototypes as an alternative to the traditional big bang approach. I would say that this is one of the most critical things in nowadays, especially in a context where people are moving and changing their behaviors and their needs in a very quick pace.
But do you think it is sustainable, for the companies?
Sorry?
Do you think it is sustainable for the companies, like,
Yes. It's something that they have to deal very, very seriously, because the consumers are changing their habits very quickly. And see what happened this year. This year was a nightmare for some companies because everything changes very quickly. The behaviors of the people and the consumers have changed in a couple of days, not weeks, not months. And the companies that are handling well these situations are the ones that change also very quickly. And this is the magic of customer experience management, because you have to move very quickly along with the customer changes.
Yeah, the companies that were customer centric were able to deal with it in a much better way than the task oriented companies.
That's true. That's true.
At least say this time. Uh, okay, and so why is omni-channel customer service so important in retail? And do you believe that omni-channel customer service is only exclusive for retail, or it will benefit every industry?
Well, I would say that retail was one of the first industries to feel the pressure to articulate physical world with digital, especially because they had physical stores and they had to articulate with the e-commerce. And in some companies and then in some countries, as you know, e-commerce has gone very fast. Other ones are moving a little bit slower. But I would say that this is one of the main reasons why the retail have to move faster. Not because they wanted to, but because the customers demand it. Today, we know that at level, people compare products and prices, but at an emotional level, people compare experiences. If you have a fantastic customer experience in your home banking, tomorrow you will place the same level of demand on your telecom operator. So the level of consumer demands tends to spread from industry to industry. It means that all industries are competing with each other to provide the best customer experience. Meaning that probably you see retail as one of the first industries that fight a lot to ensure an omni-channel experience, but you are also seeing that coming in telecoms, banks, insurance, tourism, because it's not an industry issue, it's a customer issue. And as I said before, customers are the ones that are demanding this new experience and an omni-channel experience. And if they have that experience from one specific industry, they immediately will ask for the same type of experience in other completely different industry.
Correct. Like, so what I understand from this is that the aim of company should not only be to just sell your product, but to ensure that your customer becomes a promoter of the brand based on your experience.
So that's true. That's true. The statistics that we have show that the products are not enough to create loyalty with the customers. The loyalty that I have with the specific product will disappear as soon as we find in the market a new product, a better one, a better looking, a more cheap price, and I move immediately. However, if I have of trust in a specific company, I will probably be more loyal to that customer for a longer time, which means that for a lot of customers, it's a lot of companies, it's very important to build loyalty through trust and not only by products and services, and even so with prices.
Agreed. Makes sense. So what are your thoughts on the use of conversational commerce tools like chatbots to enhance the shopping experience?
Well, our research reveals that most consumers prefer self-service wherever they seek simple information or carry out the simple transaction. Let me ask you, who prefers to go to the bank counter to collect money since we have ATMs, for instance? So, however, research also reveals that people prefer to talk with a human being whenever we're talking about complex situations. So I believe that both technology that has been evolving very, very quick will increase and more simple implementations. But nevertheless, we will have always to provide to customers the option to choose what they prefer. One of the biggest mistakes that I see in a couple of companies is that they feel so enthusiastic about their beautiful bots, they try to force them to the customers. And the better solutions and the better implementations that we see are the ones that we provide the options to the customers, and is the customer who chooses if he prefers to go to the self-service or to prefer to go to a human being whenever he needs it. And in that situations, the customers will be the first promoters of bots and self-services, giving very good NPS scores whenever they get what they want with as easy as possible.
So the main goal of companies is to create your memorable experiences, and that is what will last with customers.
That's true. As you know, besides customer satisfaction, the Net Promoter Score, nowadays, most of the companies are also trying to measure the customer effort score, meaning the effort a customer takes to get what he needs. And in that regard, everything that we can do to our customers in terms of automatization and making their life easier is something that they appreciate very much, and also help to create loyalty with the customers.
Okay. And how do they, understand, optimize how this feedback is taken? Like, how do they optimize, how the feedback to improve that customer effort score?
We really need to understand what are customer expectations. So most of the companies nowadays put a lot of effort and money to get customer voice and try to understand exactly what and what is the level of satisfaction. Some of them do it through automatic systems like a simple SMS or an IVR, but unquestionably, the most deep information you get from a phone interview when you call the customer and try to understand what exactly was his expectation, the reason why he gives the specific score, because for instance an IVR could get you an information from a scale from 0 to 10, what is your level of satisfaction. But if you press 4, you immediately would like to know why he's giving a 4 and not a 5 or a 6. And in order to get information, you have to connect with the customer and interact with him and try to get that specific insight of why the customers gave that specific punctuation. And that doesn't mean that that is right, or if it's not right. It's about his expectations, which is almost very, very important for each one of us to understand, because that's the only way to create loyalty, is to overcome the expectations, which means that in the first place, we have to know what were the initial expectation of the customers, if you want to, in the long run, to overcome those same expectations.
Okay, so as you said in the beginning, like so you're like, to optimize it, for the best thing would be to analyze the customer touch points,
Exactly.
entire part of the customer journey.
Exactly.
Okay. So any other sound bites you would like to leave our audience with?
Well, I think it's we should also talk a little bit about artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence. Both will evolve and start releasing agents from monotonous and repetitive tasks, which is a good thing. Most of the agents do not like to do daily, day by day, repetitive tasks. So it's good for the agents. It's good for the customers. But in the other hand, customers will continue to be increasingly informed and more demanding, more and more demanding, more and more informed, and the pressure will increase. Customers will increasingly want to talk with people who behave like people and not robots, because they have the opportunity to talk to a robot. So if he doesn't want to talk to a robot, if he wants to talk with a human being, it's because he has a specific need. And it's very important agents themselves as human beings and not like machines. That means that we have to drop out the traditional scripts, for instance, and make people think, understand problem, and especially one aspect that, at least for now, we human beings are different from computers, is our emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is something that can be taught and trained. And for this reason, I believe that in addition to product, service, and systems, the emotional training will become a mandatory topic in the training of customer service agents. It's something that we cannot avoid, because that's what will be different between a machine and someone, a human being providing service to a customer.
Correct. Well said. So thank you so much, Rui, for giving us your time. Like, your insights were really valuable, and I know our audience is really going to enjoy this interview.
Thank you for this opportunity. Have a nice new year.
You too. So we'll be back with a new episode with a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned, and we'll see you around for the next one.